One evening on the island of Sodor, Sir Topham Hatt drove recklessly into Tidmouth's sheds. He had some news for his engines. "As you may know," he said firmly, 5 of our engines returned to prison after Christmas break for their immoral and illegal actions. "And what are you going to do about it?" said Henry. "Bring in Dennis?" "That's enough, Henry," replied Sir Topham Hatt. "These engines have been in the show for a while, only have they returned from the mainland, and since we didn't have the budget to house them for a while. Expect many more engines coming back in the future." Before Henry could answer, Emily, Neville, and Dennis pulled into the sheds. "Welcome, you 3, said Edward. "Neville, Dennis, you 2 will be staying here at Tidmouth. Emily, you requested to stay at Knapford Sheds?" "Precisely," said Emily, "with all the fantastic Galenel newbies." Edward chuckled, and Emily steamed off to Knapford Sheds, while Dennis and Neville backed into the sheds for an unwelcome aboard. "If it isn't ugly duckling and lazy ass 2005, laughed Henry. Dennis didn't give much of a while Neville started rambling. "You see, on the mainland, I learned about a company called Puntrack, which designs engines for a railroad in America called Motor Road and Rail. I can recommend one of you engines to get redesigned by that company one day." "The did he just say?" Thomas asked in shock. "That's complete and utter bullshit." "All right, all of you engines, cut it out," said Edward. "We've got a busy day tomorrow, so get some good sleep." And the engines all fell asleep. The next morning, the engines were preparing for their long day of work. Henry was to pull the local train from Tidmouth Station. Gordon spoke to him. "Be careful, Henry. Show these newbies with no skill how to pull coaches." And all the engines set off to do their work in a montage in which Neville crashed. Meanwhile, Thomas was collecting passengers from Maithwaite Station when Percy pulled in. "We have 2 new merchandising characters who are annoying as fuck and need to be reformed," Percy bitched. "Neville's a nicey goody two-shoes, and Dennis is a somewhat relatable shithead." Terence then whispered to Thomas, "Tell Percy to do something ominous," sarcastically, to shut him up. Thomas agreed and said to Percy, "Tell Neville to recreate a scene from a movie we cannot name, but you and I know." Percy took the idea and rushed off to Tidmouth Station. Percy soon told Neville his plan. "Neville," said Percy, "if you want to prove you're more than a merchandising character, you've got to do something edgy. You got to do something based. Like recreating this scene from a movie I can't name due to how inappropriate it is." "Whoa," said Neville. "So I just have to ride roughly on a bridge and against the railing on the bridge and nearly crash into a passenger train, just like the guy in this clip? That's awesome, Percy. I can't wait to do that. No one will call me a merchandising character ever again, not even Gordon." And Neville soon raced off to the Peel-Godred branch line. Now, what most maps of the island of Sodor won't tell you is the true route along this line. Upon entering a switch, you pass Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory, cross over a bridge above Kronk, like what Thomas nearly fell off in the Christmas special, and carry on through the Peel-Godred line and get to the Misty Valley branch line as normal. But upon reaching Callan Castle, there is a set of lines past the loop around connecting with the Rolling River Bridge, which was rebuilt after the Great Discovery, and on to Neville's Bridge and Stepney's branch line. As Neville entered the Peel-Godred line, he picked up speed as he raced through Abbey Station. "Call me a merchandising character now, Tug?" Neville continued as he steamed through Shen Valley. Then came Neville's Bridge. As Neville entered the bridge, he rode roughly along the line, and as he did so, he leaned against the railing as he went along. The metal scraped and made loud sounds as he did so. As he exited the bridge, he was safely on the tracks again. But as he continued down the line, he saw Murdoch with a passenger train. He slammed on his brakes just in time. "Watch what you're doing," yelled Murdoch crossly. "You could have killed someone." Neville thought for a moment before saying, "I'm gonna do it again." Neville went through the same exact sequence as he did before. He went onto the bridge, rode roughly, and leaned against the barrier, causing metal scraping sound effects to ensue. But as he exited the bridge, he saw Murdoch again. This time he was going way too fast to stop and plowed directly into Murdoch's coaches. Fortunately, no one was killed, and my partner Mike, who was in the signal box nearby, quickly set the signal to danger. Before long, Stepney arrived with the breakdown train to help clean up the mess. Is Mall Branch Lawn a dangerous place for you, Neville? Stepney laughed. To make matters worse, the police soon showed up, and Neville was promptly arrested and taken to the prison of Peel Godred, where James, Donald, Douglas, Bill, and Ben were being held. As for Murdoch, Emily shunted him back to the repair yards at Tidmouth that evening. Stepney and Duck pulled Murdoch's overnight train for him. Thomas also had some time to think about unintentionally instigating Percy. He didn't think Percy was this psychopathic, but while the other engines were sleeping, Edward was thinking of a way to rescue some engines from prison. But that's another story.